Hi, English learners.
Welcome to another relaxed conversation from the English Daily Learning Podcast.
I'm Mia.
And I'm Leo.
Today we're talking about something we do all the time, in every language. We tell stories.
Not only big, dramatic stories with heroes, mysteries, and surprising endings,
Mostly small stories. What happened on the way to work, why we were late, the strange thing we saw in a cafe, the mistake that made everyone laugh.
those little stories are a big part of real conversation.
But telling one in another language can feel surprisingly difficult.
You know exactly what happened. The whole event is clear in your mind. Then you begin speaking English, and suddenly everything becomes crowded.
There are people, places, times, details, feelings, and verb tenses all asking for your attention.
You start with Monday, go back to Sunday, introduce three people who are not important, and forget why you started the story.
Then you say, anyway, it was funny, even though nobody understands what it was.
I have definitely done that.
So this episode is about how to tell an everyday story clearly and naturally without getting lost.
We will talk about where to begin, which details to choose, how to connect events, and what to do when you forget a word.
We will also look at feelings, reactions, simple tense choices, and ways to notice whether your listener is still with you.
The goal is not to sound like a professional storyteller.
The goal is to help another person follow your experience and enjoy sharing the moment with you.
Mia, why can I answer a question in English but struggle when I need to tell a story?
A short answer has one main job. A story has several jobs at the same time.
What are those jobs?
You need to show where and when something happened. You need to introduce the people. You need to put events in an order. You need to show why the story matters.
And I am trying to choose the correct past tense while doing all of that.
Exactly. Your brain is managing language and structure together.
That explains why a simple event can become difficult. Yesterday, I dropped my lunch on the floor. It took 2 seconds in real life, but telling it can feel like a final exam.
Especially if you think every detail must be perfect before you continue.
I often stop in the middle to repair a small grammar mistake.
And the repair may interrupt the story more than the original mistake.
So the listener probably understood me, but then I made both of us wait while I searched for a better verb.
Right. In everyday storytelling, clarity usually matters more than grammatical perfection.
What makes a story clear?
The listener should understand three things: what the situation was, what changed, and how it ended.
Situation, change, ending.
That is the basic shape. You can make it longer or shorter, but the shape stays useful.
Can we use my lunch disaster?
Of course. The situation might be, I was carrying my lunch back to my desk. The change is, someone opened a door in front of me, and I dropped everything. The ending is, my coworkers helped me clean up, and we ordered pizza.
A sad beginning and a happy ending.
It is already a complete little story.
And we did not need the history of the lunchbox.
Not unless the lunchbox becomes important later.
Before I begin, should I plan the whole story in my head?
Not every sentence, but it helps to know why you are telling it.
You mean the main point?
Yes. Maybe something was funny. Maybe it was embarrassing. Maybe it explains why you changed your mind. Maybe you want to warn a friend.
So I should know the destination, even if I do not know every road.
That's a good way to put it.
What happens if I do not know the point?
You may include everything because you cannot decide what matters.
First, I woke up. Then I checked my phone. Then I drank water. Then I looked outside.
And your listener is wondering, is the water important?
It is almost never important.
Before telling the story, quietly complete this sentence in your mind. I'm telling this because...
I'm telling this because I made a ridiculous mistake.
Or, I'm telling this because the stranger was unexpectedly kind.
Or, I'm telling this because the trip did not go as planned.
Once you know that, choosing details becomes easier. Details that support the point can stay. Details that lead away from it can go.
Does the listener need to hear the point at the beginning?
Often, a short opening line helps. You can say, something really embarrassing happened to me this morning.
That creates interest and tells the listener what kind of story is coming.
Exactly. Other useful openings are, I had the strangest conversation yesterday. Or, my trip home did not go as planned.
That feels much easier than beginning with a date and a complete list of people.
It also gives your listener a reason to pay attention.
So a clear story often starts with a small promise.
Yes, you are saying, this is why this moment is worth sharing.
Let's return to the three-part shape: situation, change, and ending.
The situation gives only the background we need. Where were you? Who was there? What were you doing?
I was waiting for a train after work.
Good. One sentence creates the scene.
Then comes the change.
Something breaks the normal situation. The train is canceled. You hear an announcement. You realize you are on the wrong platform.
That is where the story begins to move.
Yes. Then you describe what happened next, but only the useful steps.
And finally, the result.
How did the situation finish? Did you solve the problem? Did something unexpected happen? How did you feel afterward?
Let's build the train story.
Go ahead.
I was waiting for my usual train after work. I was tired, so I put on my headphones and stopped paying attention.
Clear situation.
A train arrived and I got on without checking the sign. About 10 minutes later, I looked outside and did not recognize anything.
There is the change.
I asked another passenger and she told me I was going in the opposite direction.
Now we understand the problem.
I got off at the next station, crossed to the other side, and finally reached home almost an hour late.
That is the result.
Since then, I always check the sign before I get on.
That final reflection gives the story a satisfying close.
The story is simple, but it does not feel empty.
Because each sentence has a job. Background, change, response, result, reflection.
Do stories always need a lesson?
No. Real life does not always teach a beautiful lesson. Sometimes the ending is simply, we laughed about it all afternoon.
Or, I still have no idea what happened.
That can be a very good ending too.
I think one of my problems is beginning too early.
That is common. Imagine you want to tell me about a funny mistake at a restaurant. Where would you begin?
Last month, my friend and I were talking about trying a new restaurant.
Maybe. But did the conversation last month affect the mistake?
Not really.
Then move closer to the interesting moment.
On Saturday, my friend and I went to a new restaurant.
Better. Can you move even closer?
On Saturday, I ordered something without understanding the menu.
Now the story is already moving.
So I do not have to tell the history of how we chose the restaurant, booked a table, found parking, and walked inside.
Only include one of those details if it becomes important.
Maybe we were late because we could not find parking.
Then parking belongs in the story. But if the funny part is the food you ordered, parking probably does not.
This sounds like starting a movie close to the action.
Exactly. Everyday stories usually improve when you enter the scene shortly before the important change.
Is there a useful phrase for moving quickly?
You can say, to make a long story short, but use it carefully.
Why carefully?
People sometimes say it and then continue for another 15 minutes.
A dangerous promise.
You can also say, the important part is, or, anyway, when we got there.
Anyway helps me leave unnecessary background and return to the main road.
Yes, but do not use it after every sentence. One clear turn is enough.
The best solution is still choosing a closer starting point.
Right. Good storytelling often depends on what you leave out.
We have talked about removing details, but details can also make a story interesting.
Absolutely. The answer is not use no details. It is use meaningful details.
What makes a detail meaningful?
It helps us see the scene, understand the problem, or feel the emotion.
Can you show me?
Compare these two versions. First, the cafe was busy and I took the wrong bag.
Clear, but basic.
Second, the cafe was so crowded that people were standing beside every table. I saw a black bag under my chair, picked it up, and hurried outside.
Now I can picture why the mistake happened.
The crowd and the black bag are useful details.
What would be an unnecessary detail?
The exact price of your coffee, unless the price matters later. Or a long description of the weather when the whole event happened indoors.
So details should earn their place.
Yes, one or two specific details are often stronger than 10 general ones.
What about sensory details? What I saw, heard, or felt?
They are helpful when used simply. The room went completely quiet. My phone was still ringing inside the bag. The soup smelled wonderful, but it was bright purple.
Bright purple soup definitely earns its place.
A specific detail can carry a lot of meaning without a difficult sentence.
Learners sometimes think an interesting story needs advanced vocabulary.
Usually it needs clear choices. Simple words can create a strong picture.
There was one tiny chair in the middle of the empty room.
Exactly. Every word is common, but the image is memorable.
I like the idea of choosing one detail the listener can see.
And perhaps one detail that explains how you felt.
Now we need to connect the events. Many learners use "and then" again and again.
And then is useful. The problem is not the phrase itself. The problem is when every sentence has the same rhythm.
And then I arrived. And then I sat down. And then I ordered. And then I waited.
It sounds like a list rather than a story.
What can we use instead?
For basic order, first, a few minutes later, after that, and finally.
For a sudden change?
Suddenly, just then, at that moment. Or simply, but.
I thought everything was fine, but then my phone rang.
Good. To show two things happening around the same time, use while or as.
While I was looking for my ticket, the bus started moving.
Exactly. To show cause and result, words like so, because, and which meant are very useful.
I had left my wallet at home, which meant I could not pay.
Natural and clear.
Do I need a connector in every sentence?
No. If the order is already obvious, a simple sentence is fine. Too many connectors can sound mechanical.
Can we hear a natural sequence?
I arrived at the station just before 8. At first, everything seemed normal. A few minutes later, an announcement said all trains were delayed. I checked my phone, but the battery was almost dead. So I walked to the bus stop instead. By the time I got home, it was nearly 10.
The connectors change because their jobs change.
Right. At first, sets the original expectation. A few minutes later, moves time forward. But introduces a problem. So shows the decision. By the time, helps us understand the final result.
They are road signs for the listener.
Use enough road signs to prevent confusion, but do not put one every 2 meters.
We have reached the part that makes many learners nervous. Past tenses.
Let's keep it practical. Most everyday stories can be told mainly with the simple past.
I arrived. I saw. I asked. She answered.
Yes, that tense carries the main events.
When is the past continuous useful?
When you want to show the background action around an event. I was walking home when I heard someone call my name.
The walking was already happening. The call entered that scene.
Exactly, but you do not need to analyze the grammar while speaking. Think of it as background and event.
We were having dinner when the lights went out.
Perfect.
What about the past perfect? Learners often worry about had done.
It can clarify that one past event happened before another. I realized I'd left my keys at work.
But if I forget it and say, I realized I left my keys at work, people will probably understand.
In an informal conversation, yes. Context often makes the order clear.
So I should not stop the story and apologize to the grammar police.
Please don't. If the meaning is clear, continue. You can improve tense control over time, but fluency grows when you keep moving.
Is it okay to switch into the present tense for a dramatic moment?
Native speakers sometimes do that. So I open the door and there is a dog sitting in my kitchen. It can make the moment feel immediate.
Should learners use that?
They can, but they do not need it. A consistent, simple past is clearer and safer. Storytelling energy comes from your voice and detail, not only from tense changes.
That is a relief.
Choose the simplest grammar that keeps the timeline understandable.
Can we compare a confusing story with a clearer version?
Let's use the train example. Give me the confusing version first.
All right. Last Tuesday, or maybe Wednesday, because Tuesday I work from home, I went to the station, and my coworker had told me about a new project. And I usually take the train from platform 2, but sometimes it changes, and I had coffee in my hand, so I got on a train, and later I was in the wrong place.
I understand the final problem, but I had to carry many details that did not help me.
The day was uncertain. The coworker disappeared from the story. The platform information did not create a clear picture.
And the important moment, getting on without checking, was hidden.
Let me try again.
I took the wrong train after work last week. I was tired and looking at my phone, so I got on without checking the sign.
Strong opening. We immediately know the point and the cause.
About 10 minutes later, I looked out the window and realized I did not recognize any of the stations.
Good. That is the moment of discovery.
I asked the woman sitting across from me if the train stopped near Central Station. She looked surprised and said, Central Station is in the other direction.
That small piece of dialogue makes the moment feel real.
I got off at the next stop, crossed the platform, and waited 20 minutes for a train back.
Clear response and result.
I reached home almost an hour late, and now I check every sign twice.
Complete, easy to follow, and personal.
We removed information, but the story became more vivid.
Because the remaining details support one clear line.
What if the listener asks, which station did you get off at?
Then you can add that detail. A story does not need to answer every possible question before anyone asks it.
That is important. I sometimes include extra information because I am trying to prevent every question.
The questions are good. They turn your story into a conversation.
A clear timeline is useful, but sometimes my stories sound like reports.
That often happens when we describe events without reactions.
I missed the bus. I walked home. It rained.
We know what happened, but not what it was like for you.
How can I add feeling without becoming too dramatic?
Use short, honest reactions. I couldn't believe it. I felt so relieved. I was a little embarrassed. For a second, I had no idea what to do.
Those phrases are simple.
They also create rhythm. An event happens, then you let the listener feel its effect.
I checked my pocket, and my key was gone. For a second, I just stood there.
Very natural.
Can body reactions help?
Yes. My face went red. I started laughing. My heart was beating so fast. I finally relaxed.
We can also include a thought.
Exactly. I thought, please don't let that be my bag.
Or all I could think was, how am I going to explain this?
Thoughts bring the listener closer to the moment.
But I should choose one or two reactions, not explain every emotion.
Right. If every event has a long emotional description, the story stops moving.
Event, reaction, next event.
That is a useful rhythm. And remember, your voice also carries feeling. You can slow down before the surprising part, pause briefly, or change your tone.
The words do not have to do all the work.
Storytelling is spoken communication. Your expression is part of the meaning.
We mentioned a black bag in a crowded cafe. I want to know what happened.
Let's build that story together.
Start with the promise.
I accidentally took a stranger's bag from a cafe yesterday.
Excellent. I already have questions.
The cafe was packed, and I was sitting at a tiny table near the door. When I finished my coffee, I saw a black bag under my chair, picked it up, and hurried outside.
The crowd explains the confusion.
I had walked about half a block when I heard a phone ringing inside the bag.
That is a good discovery moment.
The ringtone was unfamiliar, and my own phone was in my coat pocket. I stopped walking and looked at the bag properly.
Now the listener realizes the truth with you.
Mine had a small green tag on the side. This one did not.
One specific visual detail.
My face went hot. I turned around and ran back to the cafe.
What was happening there?
A man was standing beside my table, holding my bag and looking completely confused.
A perfect mirror image.
For 1 second, we just stared at each other. Then we both started laughing.
That feels human. Nobody is angry.
We exchanged bags, checked our phones, and promised to buy brighter bag tags.
Nice ending.
Now notice the structure. The opening gives the whole situation in one line. The cafe and black bag create the background. The unfamiliar ringtone changes everything. The missing green tag confirms the mistake. Then the meeting gives us the result.
And the laugh releases the tension.
Exactly.
Could the story be shorter?
Yes. If someone asks why you were late, you might say, I accidentally took the wrong bag from a crowded cafe. I noticed when a phone rang inside it, so I ran back and exchanged bags with the owner.
Same story, different size.
A useful storyteller can adjust the size to the situation.
This is the moment I fear most. I am telling a story. Everything is going well. And then one important word disappears.
That happens to everyone, including native speakers.
But when it happens in a second language, it feels like the floor has vanished.
The key is to keep the meaning moving. Describe the word instead of waiting silently for it.
For example,
If you forget platform, say, the place at the station where you wait for the train.
if I forget receipt, I can say, the paper they give you after you pay.
Exactly. You can use phrases like, I can't remember the word, but it's the thing you use to, or it's a kind of, or it looks like.
What if the missing word is not important?
Skip it. Say, anyway, and continue with the event.
I think I treat every missing word like a broken bridge.
Often it is only a small stone in the road.
Can I ask the listener for help?
Of course. What's the word for the machine that sells tickets? If they know, they may supply ticket machine, and the story continues.
That can even create connection.
Yes, the listener becomes part of the storytelling.
What about correcting myself?
Make a quick correction if the meaning would otherwise be wrong. It happened on Friday. Then continue.
No long apology.
No need. Natural speakers repair themselves all the time.
Useful phrases might be, let me say that again. What I mean is, and I don't know the exact word, but
Those phrases help you stay calm. Fluency does not mean never having a problem. It means knowing how to move through one.
earlier the woman on the train said, Central Station is in the other direction. Why did that feel more alive than reporting her answer?
A short line of dialogue brings us into the scene.
Instead of, she told me I was wrong, I can repeat her exact or approximate words.
Right. Spoken stories do not need perfectly exact quotations. You are recreating the moment.
The waiter looked at me and said, are you sure you ordered this?
Immediately, we want to know what was on the table.
My friend whispered, don't turn around.
That creates tension with only 3 words.
Can I include my own reply?
Yes, especially if the exchange is the funny or important part.
She asked, is this your dog? And I said, I've never seen that dog in my life.
Good, but keep the dialogue focused. If you recreate a 10-minute conversation line by line, your listener may get lost again.
Choose the one sentence that changes the moment.
Or the one sentence people will remember.
Do I need to change my voice for each person?
Not dramatically. A small change in tone or pace is enough. You are telling a friend a story, not performing 20 characters on stage.
That is fortunate. My 20 characters all sound the same.
A clear he said or she asked can do the job.
So direct speech is like a bright detail. A little can make the whole scene more vivid.
Exactly.
Storytelling is not only about the speaker. How do I know if the listener is still following?
Watch for small signals. Are they looking at you? Are they reacting? Do they ask questions? Do they seem confused?
What if their face says, I have lost the map?
Pause and give a quick clarification. Sorry, Ben is my coworker. Or, this happened before I moved to London.
A short repair instead of restarting the whole story.
Exactly. You can also check gently, does that make sense? Or, you know the station near the park.
What if I introduce too many people?
Reduce them to their roles. Instead of repeating 4 names, say, my cousin, her friend, and the driver.
Names are difficult to remember when the listener has never met the people.
Roles often carry more meaning.
In a group, should the story be shorter?
Usually, yes. Group attention moves quickly. Give the point early, keep the background light, and leave room for reactions.
And if someone interrupts with a question?
Answer briefly, then use a return phrase. So, as I was saying, or, anyway, we finally reached the hotel.
That helps me find the road again.
A good storyteller also notices when someone else has something to add.
So I do not need to protect the microphone until every detail is finished.
No. Everyday stories belong inside conversation. Someone may say, that happened to me too. And the discussion may move in a new direction.
Then the story succeeded, even if I never delivered my perfect final sentence.
Exactly. Connection is a better measure than completion.
You said we should adjust the size of a story. Can we practice that idea without asking listeners to repeat anything?
Let's simply compare 3 versions. Imagine I missed an important online meeting because of a time zone mistake.
First, the very short version.
I missed a meeting this morning because I read the time zone incorrectly.
One sentence. Useful if someone only asks why you look stressed.
Now, a conversational version. I had an online meeting with the team in another country this morning. I thought it started at 10, but the invitation was showing their local time. When I opened my laptop, the meeting had already ended. I was so embarrassed, but luckily they agreed to meet again tomorrow.
That gives us situation, mistake, result, and feeling.
Now, a longer version might include how I noticed the mistake, what message I sent, and how the team responded.
But only if the listener has time and interest.
Right. The longer version is not automatically better.
This is important for language learners. We sometimes think more words prove that our English is stronger.
Clear choices show strong communication. A short story at the right moment is better than a long story that ignores the situation.
How can I decide the length while speaking?
Begin with the short version. If the listener reacts or asks a question, expand.
I took the wrong train yesterday,
The listener may ask, "Where did you end up?"
and now I know they want more.
Exactly. Let curiosity pull the details out of you.
That removes pressure. I do not have to deliver the complete director's version immediately.
You can begin with the trailer.
Beginnings get attention, but endings are where I often become lost. I reach the final event and keep adding sentences.
A story needs a landing. The landing can be the result, a feeling, a small lesson, or a connection to the present.
Result. In the end, we found the hotel.
Feeling. I was exhausted, but also very relieved.
Lesson. Now I always save the address before I leave.
Present connection. And that is why I'm carrying 2 umbrellas today.
That last one brings the story back into the current conversation.
Humor can also close a story. So yes, the dog had a much better evening than I did.
How do I avoid explaining the ending twice?
Once the listener understands the final point, stop. Trust them.
I sometimes say, it was funny, after everyone has already laughed.
You do not need to label a successful moment.
Can I invite the other person in at the end?
Yes. Has anything like that ever happened to you? Or what would you have done?
That turns the ending into a bridge.
Use it when it feels genuine. Not every story needs a formal discussion question.
Sometimes the listener will naturally respond with their own story.
And that is one reason we tell stories. One experience opens the door to another.
A story is not a speech with applause at the end.
It is a way of saying, here is a moment from my life. Does it connect with yours?
Could we hear how a story appears inside a normal conversation?
Sure. Ask me why I am carrying a notebook with a bent cover.
Mia, what happened to your notebook?
I dropped it into a fountain yesterday.
A fountain? How?
I was sitting beside the water during lunch, writing a shopping list. A little boy was playing with a ball nearby, and the ball rolled under my chair.
I think I see trouble coming.
I stood up to help him, but the notebook was still on my knees. It fell, hit the edge, and landed right in the water.
Oh no. Did you have anything important in it?
Mostly notes and lists. But for one terrible second, I thought my phone had fallen in too.
That would have been much worse.
Exactly. The boy's father quickly reached into the fountain and pulled the notebook out. He kept apologizing, but it really wasn't the boy's fault.
Were the pages ruined?
Some of them. I put the notebook near a fan all afternoon. Now the pages look like little waves.
At least the notebook matches the fountain.
That's what I decided. It has more character now.
That felt like a conversation, not a prepared performance.
Because your questions affected the shape. I did not give every detail at once.
You began with the surprising result. I dropped it into a fountain.
That gave you a clear reason to ask how.
Then the background was short. Lunch, water, child, ball.
The events moved in order, and the reactions showed what mattered.
We also had room for a joke at the end.
Stories become easier when you allow the listener to help carry them.
We have covered a lot today. Can we bring the main ideas together?
Start by knowing why you are telling the story. What makes this moment worth sharing?
Then begin close to the action.
Give a short situation, show what changed, and lead us to the result.
Choose a few details that help us see the scene or understand the problem.
Use time words as road signs. But do not make every sentence sound like a list.
Keep the grammar as simple as the story allows. The simple past can carry most main events.
Add a reaction, a thought, or one short line of dialogue when it brings the moment alive.
If a word disappears, describe it, skip it, or ask for help. Do not abandon the whole story.
Watch your listener, clarify when necessary, and let their questions shape the length.
And when the story has landed, trust the ending.
Clear storytelling is not about using the most English. It is about guiding another person through one experience.
The next time something funny, strange, difficult, or unexpectedly kind happens, you already have the beginning of a story.
You do not need perfect words to share it.
If this conversation made English feel a little more natural, please like the episode and subscribe to English Daily Learning Podcast.
More calm, practical English conversations are on the way.
Thanks for spending this time with us.
Take care and keep sharing your stories.
See you next time.